Have you ever noticed something profoundly strange, almost unnerving about the way medieval monks looked? It's not the robes, it's not the silence, it's the hair, or more accurately, the deliberate, geometric absence of hair. They called it the tonsure, a strange, circular, almost bizarre pattern carved into the very identity of a man who had sworn off the world. There's something strange about this self-inflicted bare patch. On the surface, it's a religious symbol, a nod to the crown of thorns. That's what the history books tell you. But here's the paradox. They were trying to escape vanity, yet they were committed to maintaining a perfectly styled look. A look that demanded just as much attention as a fashionable haircut in the world they had left behind. Was this just obedience? Or was this bizarre ritual a secret psychological tool, a way to hack the human brain and reshape their very souls? Why would men desperate for spiritual freedom tie themselves to such a strict physical constraint? What was the true, deep-seated reason medieval monks shaved their heads in these bizarre patterns? You see the image of the monk, the brown robe, the beads, the stillness, and you think, simplicity, piety. But here's the truth. The tonsure was anything but simple. In the world outside the monastery walls, the world you and I live in, our hair is a flag. It's a statement of status, of gender, of style, of rebellion. It's the first thing you notice, and it's deeply tied to your sense of self. Think about it. When you want a fresh start, what do? You change your hair. It's a primitive, powerful act of reinvention. But for the monk, reinvention wasn't about a fresh start. It was about a total erasure. The tonsure was an act of anti-fashion. It wasn't just cutting the hair. It was making a deliberate public spectacle of rejecting one's individual identity. You enter the monastery with your name, your history, your ego, and your hair. The moment they take the blade to your head, you are initiating what psychologists call deindividuation. And this is where it gets interesting. Deindividuation is a concept often studied in group psychology. It describes the loss of self-awareness in groups, leading to a diminished sense of personal responsibility. Think of a crowd at a concert or soldiers in uniform. When you wear the same thing, look the same way, and act the same way, the boundary between me and us starts to blur. For the monk, the bizarre pattern of the tonsure was a highly effective, continuous de-individuation tool. They weren't just joining a team, they were merging their self into the monastic collective. Every time you caught your reflection, a brief, forbidden glance, you didn't see your unique self, you saw the monk. The tonsure served as a visual, visceral reminder that your personal wants, your individual dramas, your ego, they are all secondary to the group, to the rule, to the spiritual purpose. But the thing, this wasn't just about control from the top down, it was a tool of self-mastery. Let's dive into something you know intimately, attachment theory. You and I spend our entire lives forming attachments. To people, places, ideas, and yes, even to our appearance. When those attachments are threatened, you feel anxiety, pain, and fear. The medieval monk was attempting the ultimate act of emotional detachment. He was trying to detach his soul from the world, but detachment is agonizing. It requires immense continuous effort. So the tonsure acted as a concrete physical symbol of that spiritual effort. By creating a physical boundary, that bare circle, they were training their minds to accept a greater, deeper boundary. But here's what's fascinating. To achieve true freedom, they first submitted to total control. It's the paradox of the cage. They willingly entered a strict, rule-bound system, the monastery, because a rule-bound system can be incredibly safe. You don't have to worry about who you are, what you wear, what you eat, or what you chase. All those complex, anxiety-inducing decisions are already made. The tonsure was the daily, literal sign that the decision is final. And once the decision is final, your mind is free to focus on its real work. The silence that follows is not emptiness, it's control. Imagine you are standing in a choir stall. You look left, you look right. Every man has the same bald circle. The psychology behind this runs deeper, right into your brain's hardware. We are creatures built to conform, thanks to our mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are what allow you to understand and anticipate another person's actions and feelings. They are why you flinch when you see someone else get hurt. They are why you yawn when someone else yawns. In the monastic setting, this system was weaponized for spiritual good. You are seeing hundreds of identical physical commitments. You are not just seeing a haircut. You are seeing 1,000 tiny daily acts of renunciation mirrored back to you. Your mirror neurons are constantly firing, reinforcing the message. This is the norm. This is the path. This shared public physical symbol makes it easier to fall into the prescribed emotional and spiritual state of the group. If the monk next to you is calm, focused, and penitent, your brain, looking at his tonsure, is nudged toward the same state. The conformity of the hair leads to the conformity of the heart. The bizarre pattern wasn't meant to be stylish, it was meant to be unavoidable. It locked the spiritual practice into the physical, day-to-day reality. But the truth is, this commitment came with a cost. You are an individual, and the denial of individuality is a painful process. The tonsure often began as a symbolic act of shame, a public stripping away of pride, akin to a criminal being shorn. But the long-term consequence is where the transformation happens. When you continuously commit to a painful public boundary, something shifts. The initial shame and reluctance are slowly replaced by pride of belonging. It becomes a badge of honor. It signals competence, endurance, and commitment to the spiritual life. And this is where it gets complex. The man who willingly shaved his head was not trying to become less of a person. He was trying to become more of a monk. He wasn't rejecting his identity. He was exchanging a temporary, fragile, ego-driven identity for a permanent, robust, shared, and transcendent identity. They weren't escaping the pain of life. They were submitting to a specific, manageable pain, the daily effort of discipline, in exchange for escaping the massive, chaotic, unmanageable pain of the world's endless demands. And maybe that's the real lesson of the monk's bizarre haircut. Offering understanding and validation. You might not be shaving your head in a bizarre pattern, but you understand this impulse. You understand the need for a boundary. Maybe your tonsure is the disciplined habit you desperately try to maintain, the one that tells your ego, stop, you are not in charge right now. Maybe your tonsure is the time you set aside every day for silence, for meditation, for just being still, even when your mind screams at you to check your phone, to be productive, to be seen. You are constantly battling the same forces the medieval monk battled, the pressure to be an individual, to stand out, to chase status, and the deep soul-level need to just belong and be still. Here's what's really happening. You are seeking an anchor. You are looking for a concrete physical act that can stabilize your turbulent, invisible inner world. You are seeking a discipline that can stand up against the chaos. The monk's bizarre pattern was his anchor. It was the visual evidence of his choice. It was the physical cage he built to house his spiritual freedom. And you know how hard that is. You know the effort it takes to create a boundary and hold it. You know the anxiety that rushes in when you try to say no to the demands of your ego in the world. That anxiety is valid. The pull to conformity, to what everyone else is doing, is powerful. The pull to vanity, to what you look like, is powerful. Be compassionate with yourself. The same psychological mechanisms that required a monk to shave his head are working in you every single day. We started with a bizarre historical curiosity. Why the tonsure? Why this strange circular pattern? The answer is not about fashion or even just simple obedience. It was a brilliant physical piece of applied psychology, a constant public commitment device that used the power of deindividuation, mirror neurons, and attachment theory to literally rewire a brain and forge a new, transcendent identity. You are not required to shave your head. Your commitment is invisible. Your battles are fought in the silent chambers of your mind. But you have the power to choose your own spiritual tonsure. You have the power to choose the boundary, the daily visible act of discipline that reminds you who you are choosing to be, not who the world tells you to be. Find your anchor. Create your boundary. Choose your cage, because sometimes the freest place you can be is the one you willingly entered. The monk's strange bald patch was a circle of silence in a loud world. What will yours be? Go gently and be well.